Hello and welcome to the ArchieLuxury channel. The ArchieLuxury channel with ArchieLuxury and John Suckerhorn. And today, Jono, I want to talk about Watch Gurus Busted.
Well, 20 of them.
And I gotta tell you, I want to talk today about something that's very popular, and that is someone had asked me about, there was a certain channel which had a supposedly fake Nautilus, okay?
Yeah.
And they asked me, is it real or not real, right? And I got to tell you completely honestly, Jono, I am not an expert in Nautiluses, okay? I've probably handled more than most people. I've probably handled about 5 of them, 5 or 10 of them, 5 to 10, okay? And the reason I'm making this video today is that so many people have slammed this certain individual for selling a fake Nautilus because the window isn't right or something's wrong with it. And I got to tell you something. The Nautilus, there are some exceptionally good fake Nautiluses out there. Let me tell you a story, John. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, go for that one. Yeah, I've heard it,
Okay.
but the crew haven't. Go for it.
No, you haven't heard it before. This is a true story. A good friend of mine who's a dealer, okay?
Yeah, you told me the other day this one. Yeah, go on.
He had a customer came in to sell a watch. It was a mid-sized Nautilus, okay? Mid-sized Nautilus. And I got to tell you, he gave it to me. This was a couple of years ago. He gave it to me. He said, hey, have a look at this. Do you want to buy a Nautilus cheap? It was so convincing. And when I say it was convincing, even when you open the clasp up, when you open the clasp, there's the shears there. They had Patek Philippe there. How it was done was almost like, it was just fucking amazing. It was so almost the same. Now he bought it. He bought this watch, and it was only when they opened it up in the service center that they go, oh fuck, it's got an ETA machine in it. You got to understand.
He's a dealer. He's a dealer. He bought it without up the back of it.
Yep.
Oops.
And I got another story for you. Another dealer, right? This is another dealer. He actually asked me if I wanted to go halves on a Cartier Pasha.
Yes,
okay?
Go on. Yes.
There's a solid gold Cartier Pasha. Okay?
Yeah.
So he asked me, do I want to go halves on it? And I actually was skint. And I said, look, I would like to, but I don't have the money. I'm sorry. Anyhow, he bought it. He opened it up, and the Cartier Pasha basically used an ETA movement.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
But another dealer of his said, hey, hang on a minute. The screws are wrong. Now, he even did a gold test on it, and it was solid 18 karat.
Yeah, well, that's shit. There wouldn't be flames in it. No,
But
we're only talking $100 worth of gold. Yeah, go on.
Maybe 2 ounces.
Oh, but what in a Cartier? You're joking. There wouldn't be 2 ounces in your subby.
1 ounce. Okay. I know what you're saying. Anyhow,
gold stuff, mate.
I'm just telling you the story. This dealer bought it, was convinced it was right.
Yeah.
This is how fucking nasty some of these fakes can be. Now, when you say to me,
credit's due. You know, you as a fake, you know, if it's a different, you put it on your wrist and say, "Oh, what's that? A patent police?" Say, "No, it's an imitation." throwing off, you know, it's one that's a real one.
And I got to tell you,
clear it.
I got to tell
Hey?
you, it's fucking, sometimes, Jono, it is hard.
Mate, one night at a party, he brought out, you know, I said, oh, yeah, what do you do? So I watch the ArchieLuxury channel, you know, like watches. Oh, I like watches too. Have a look at these. Well, he took me into his bedroom, you know, and he showed me all these watches. He would have had 15 Patek Philippe's, you know, Jaeger,
Yes.
the Ultras, you know, they're all, you know. I said, where'd you get these? I said, I said, these are worth, you know, dollars in their own right. You know, they're all imitation. I just like the watches, but collect the imitations. He said, no one knows the difference. And he's right. How many blokes could pick a dud, you know, Patek Philippe, you know, and you hand it to him? Dennis Van Patten might. You might. You know, like, then we start stretching it, don't we?
Now, I got to tell you, in all honesty, if you, with the newer Pateks, it's getting easier. Okay, let me explain. Because what happens with these fakes are, okay, say you see a fake Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
What they normally do is, no, listen to me. They don't normally fake every part of the Ferrari. They fake the bodywork. They base it on another car and they just put panels on. Remember they did that to a Celica? They had a Celica, you could get a Ferrari F40 kit where you could turn your Celica. Look.
You put onto a Celica. Yeah.
Now, the thing is, right, with the newer Pateks, if you know what the movements look like, Patek uses some very standard movements. They use a thing called a 215 movement. That's their manual wind movement they use in a lot of Calatravas, manual wind Calatravas, like the 5196, the 5119, the 39. Right?
Your World Time's got the 240 movement, hasn't it?
That's right. So that's quite a famous movement. So because it's got the display back, it actually makes it easier because when they fake it, it's so hard to make it look like that. See, they would normally fake the case. They don't necessarily fake the movement. The movement would just be a cheap ETA type movement or a Chinese movement, Unitus movement, you know, just a very cheap Chinese movement. So
that's where you pay the difference, isn't it, as far as fakes are concerned?
Well, that's it. So the display back actually makes it easier to tell because if you know what a 240 movement, well, I mean, I'm not a watchmaker, but the 240 movement has a little micro rotor, whereas the 324 or the 315, that's what my other Pateks, they both had a 315 movement. They have the big rotor.
The white gold Calatrava.
Yeah, it had a 315. That's like the big rotor on it, the big rotor. So what I'm trying to say is that these movements, the newer ones which have a display back, that makes it easier because you can see on the Pateks, the movements are a work of art. So if you know basically what the movement looks like, you can work it out. Now, the thing is, John, the thing is this, is that I think a lot of people there's a certain, I'm not going to name this person, but there's a guy who pretends to be an absolute expert. He wrote to me 2 or 3 years ago and said, I've just started my hobby of watches. And he wrote to me and he asked me he wanted me to plug his channel, believe it or not. No, I was just a naive, stupid fuck. I said, oh, yeah, I'll help you out. No worry. You know, anyone who's marginally friendly, I'd help out. And now, see, I've made a lot of fuck ups. Like when someone says, oh, look, they're an expert in this or that, you've got to make so many fuck ups before you realize that you know what you're doing. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I went to look at a secondhand Submariner and I didn't buy it. I didn't know if it was real or not because it had a plastic glass and a real rattly bracelet. Well, that was real. It was real. I turned it down. This was when I was just a a rookie. I thought, oh, I've seen the new. Oh, I don't know if that's right. I think it's fake, but it wasn't fake. It was just vintage. And you don't know these things till you've made some mistakes. I remember I bought this really shitty Datejust as well. I paid high money for it. That was a silly buy. That was a silly buy. I lost money on that fucker. And I got to tell you, John, sometimes with these watches here, you got to have so many fuck-ups before you know what you're doing. And see, I've been lucky. I've probably photographed a couple thousand watches. One of my jobs before, from 2002 to 2004, I was photographing watches for a dealer, a lot of secondhand vintage ones. And I got to see a lot of these watches. And even now, I don't think that I'm the absolute be-all and end-all expert on things. There are things you can make mistakes, John. You can make mistakes. And I just want to put it out there. Some of these people here, they haven't even touched these watches. But, you know, I've probably owned half a dozen Pateks. I got my first Patek in 2001. I've had that was a 3919. I had a 3940. I had a quartz ugly 70s one. I've had a couple. I've had a number of Pateks, you know. It's only when you've owned a few of them that you get to say, well, hang on a minute. I mean, the other thing is, too, people have criticized a certain Nautilus, but I've seen them where they've had the dials redone and they weren't done right.
It's a matter of knowledge.
Yeah,
isn't it? You know, I went to a stamp show recently and held up some stamps that, you know, at this bloke at a stamp show. Well, a friend of mine who was a dealer held up, you know, some stamps. Yes. Bloke was on, you know, the other side of an aisle. And
yes.
And he didn't have an eyepiece on anything, and I held up this block of stamps and such. Yeah, they're the, you know, the B paper units. They're very collectible. You know, that block's worth about $900. Yeah, and he saw that from, you know, 20 feet away. You know, he knew exactly what it was. Never seen the item, but that's someone of knowledge. You know,
that is knowledge, Jono.
You know, that was knowledge, you know, and that was experience, and that's something which you have, and you've been since the age of 16, haven't you? Not in the last 2 years. You know, you don't have to, you know, like, how many, you know, watches do you handle with white gloves? You know, 2 years, you know, into the fact when you started collecting watches.
Look,
would you?
Look,
white gloves.
I got to tell you, you know, I really think a lot of these people that are out there, I don't even like to use the word guru on it, because when you're buying these things, it's fucking hard. There are so many variations, so many slight differences.
Well,
it's fucking hard. It is hard.
You know, we're talking about, you know, discerning the Patek on site, and your mate who's you know, who's you know, in the trade. Well, he didn't know he got taken too.
Well, I got to say this. The best way to tell whether it's real or not is to, as you said to me from your old pawn shop days, open the back.
Pull it off the back.
Because
I used to do that. You know, I'm not a watcher. I'd pull off the fucking back.
Jeez, you're a bit rough there, John.
You know, I was lucky. I had a bloke down the street, great horologist, you know, possibly one of the, you know, the best shops in the Southern Hemisphere, as far as horology is concerned. He'd walk up, nah, that's no good, Jono. He got a lot of good business out of me. Now that bloke?
Yes.
I'd recommend him. He's a great bloke. Ferntree Gully Horology. He is an horologist. He'll fix any watch or any clock known to mankind. He's brilliant, that bloke. Absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
That's where I take my friend Tormaloo clocks to him. He fixes them all. That's what I collect.
Well, see, John, all I want to say is that it's so hard to be an expert there, right?
I'll go grab one for you. I need a drink. Give us a minute. I'll plump one on the table. All right?
John, please do that there. So,
Hang
fuckers, what I wanted to say is that it's so hard to be an expert in these things. There is so many fucking variations, so many things you can possibly fuck up. And, you know, I know some people say they're experts and they know this and know that. Until you've handled thousands of fucking watches, until you've really seen a lot of them. The funny thing is, people who know a little bit think they know a lot, and people who know a lot realize how little they really know. So I got to tell you, this watch game itself there is pretty tricky. And I always say to people, if you're wanting to buy pieces secondhand, the best thing you can do is get in touch with an honest, good dealer. Now, Johnny, explain this work of art. What is this? What the fuck is this?
French ormolu clock, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Jono. Now, this is what period of time is this?
Oh, 1870s French.
So that's kind of Victorian era? Victorian?
Yeah, it's Victorian here. It's French clock, though.
And what is the gold? What is underneath the gold there? Is it what is it, a brass, or is it a wood? What is it exactly? Can you explain what that is? I'm trying to educate our punters, John. Can you please tell our punters?
It's ormolu, what they call ormolu. You know, it's gold. You know, gold plated.
Leaf. It's gold, like gold leaf, isn't it?
It's like no, it's not leaf. It's metallically the under metal. You know, is ormolu, and what's the other one? You know, spelter is a lesser mounting metal, but it's easier to work.
Paul,
sorry?
Oh, okay. Paul Keating was a huge fan of those type of clocks as well.
Keating was into Napoleon III antique clocks.
Oh, I see. Fuck.
Van Patten would like this one, I reckon.
What is it worth? Is that vulgar to talk about money, John? What is this sucker worth?
Oh, 2 or 3.
The antique market. Yeah.
What?
I was going to say,
in an antique shop, they'd want 6 or 7 for it. You're lucky to get 2 for it at auction, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Antique market's very tough at the moment, isn't it, Jono?
Yeah, pretty tough. Yeah, no one wants antiques anymore.
Well, why is it gone that way? It's a beautiful clock, John. I love that clock there.
Yeah, I like. That's what I like. I like antique timepieces.
So where did you buy that one from, John? To tell us about that piece you had there.
That was my mum gave it to me recently. It was my uncle's.
Oh, I see. Fantastic. Beautiful, John.
And the goer too, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, so
I whacked the pen around, put it up.
That's a lot of work to make that sort of clock, isn't it? There's a lot of hours, hundreds of hours of craftsmanship in that, isn't there?
Well, not everyone had timepieces in the 1860s. Pieces in those days were, only the realms of the high society. They were the only people who could afford them. They didn't come cheap.
Yes,
no,
definitely.
Not many people like that sort of stuff. I do. I don't give a fuck. What other people like.
Oh, who cares what other people like?
Yeah,
I've got a. You've seen my Art Deco clock, of course, haven't you?
Yes.
You can actually see that behind me now, behind the wine bottles there.
Yeah.
That's 1930s Art Deco French. That's a marble clock, because the cheaper ones of that period would have been wood. but the marble ones were.
Is it marble or green alabaster? Alabaster, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, John.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in that. But I paid $400 for it 20 years ago, and I can't even get that now, John. It's a fucking tough market, I can tell you that much. That is fucking sad, very sad, that such a beautiful thing is impossible to sell.
He likes Jacobean chairs. I got a set of them. I got a set of Jacobean chairs. They're nice. They're about 800 a piece nowadays.
What I wanted to say is, John, is that to be these gurus, people come on YouTube and they call themselves gurus when I think it takes so long to learn the craft. It takes so long, and everyone's an instant expert where unless you've had quite a few fuck-ups, I don't think you can really call yourself an expert or a guru on them. And that's why I highly recommend for novices, get in touch with a good dealer. Okay, you pay a bit more than what the cheapest is, but at least you're getting knowledge from somebody who knows what they're doing. And that's why I recommend a good deal. It doesn't have to be Kenny Nguyen from Jewelers on Time. There's a lot of good dealers around. But it's much better if you're a novice buyer to deal with a dealer instead of just going on Craigslist or eBay and thinking that you know what you're doing, because knowledge is a very powerful thing. And unfortunately, it's a very, very nasty boss. You make a few fuck ups in these things, you can fucking, it's very, very, very expensive lessons you can learn. And that is the reality. That is these watches in this day and age. So yeah, John, that's the reality. But John, it's been fantastic to have you here talking today, and to have your French ormeneau. How do I pronounce it?
French ormeneau.
Ormeneau. Ormeneau.
I'll go get a couple more.
They're beautiful, John. They really are beautiful things. I think they're very, very gorgeous. They're and you're a lucky man to have. You've got some beautiful antiques, and I got to say to you, John, I think the antiques will swing back into popularity. They're just, everything has its ups and downs, and these are just a little bit low at the moment. But what I want to say is these gurus, it's very tough to be an everyone is a keyboard warrior behind the screen. They can pretend they know everything and they talk about it, and it's pretty savage. So you can make fuck ups. You can easily make fuck ups. So John, let's wrap this show up. I got another live show. Do you want to do one more live show, Jono?
Yeah, certainly, mate. Certainly.
Okay, let's end this one here, and we'll get another live show on